Hello everyone and welcome back to Clear Creek Solutions hydrology education videos. Today we're going to quickly discuss the wwhm 2012 soil type. So this is our software provided in the jurisdiction of Western Washington in conjunction with the Department of Ecology. What kind of soil types are in the software? How are they used? And what are the different ways you can enter them into your project to help you with your hydrologic modeling? That's what we're going to go over in this video. In the description down below, we have a link to the WWHM download page, as well as our different courses teaching you about WWHM 2012. So you should check those out there. Let's get into the main thrust of the video. WWHM 2012 is a software package that allows stormwater designers to accurately model the hydrologic systems of project sites in Western Washington. So there's a very specific continuous simulation flow duration analysis that is done in Western Washington. And so it's very important that we get the soil types accurate so that that rainfall pattern, the time series can be represented properly, and we can get accurate data to the project design so we can set up facilities that will benefit the environment and the project site in the future. So what are the soil categories in WWHM 2012 broadly? Well, these are the categories of soils in WWHM. Each one acts very distinctly, and it's important to note the difference between each type. So each one is going to act very, very differently. You need to really know what your project site has, because that's really going to impact how the model operates. Because it acts on that 15-minute time step, we're really kind of resetting things and reevaluating things every 15 minutes, and the soil type's really going to play into how much infiltration there is, how much runoff there is, how much evapotranspiration there is. It's all going to matter. So we have like A, B soil types here, C soils, saturated soils, and impervious soils. So ABs are going to be well-draining soils. So those are going to be things like sands, where the water just goes right through it. It's going to infiltrate into the ground. C soils are going to be something that doesn't infiltrate as well. Something like glacial till would be a good example. A clay substance would be a good example of C pattern soils. Saturated soils are soils that are, as the name suggests, highly saturated, like a wetland area. And impervious is going to be a straight up impervious area, roads, sidewalks, things that basically do not have any infiltration at all. It's all going to run off somewhere. So here's the examples from the WWHM 2012 program, the GIS land use cover, and how it correlates to the WWHM 2012 vegetation category. So we have cultivated crops, which is basically pasture, deciduous forest, which is forested. Then we have different tiers of developed, low, medium, and high intensity, as well as open space. That correlates to lawn area. Then we have emergent herbaceous wetlands. That's going to be a pasture or D soil. Evergreen forest, hay and pasture, herbaceous, mixed forest, shrub and scrub, which is pasture, and woody wetlands, which is pasture, D soil. So you can take your project site, whatever is represented on it, and then easily translate it to a WWHM 2012 vegetation category when you enter it into your model, as long as you follow what is on the table seen there. So what is a good example, though, of lawn area? Well, this is a good example of lawn. Well-cut grass that you might find on a yard or in a field somewhere where there's not a lot of rough vegetation on it. It's very clean cut, usually somewhat well infiltrating because of that. Not a lot of debris on it. It's going to be represented by these pictures here. Fairly straightforward. Pasture is going to be a little different. It's going to be a little bit more rougher, maybe a little more out in the fields, different kinds of soil types, different kind of landscapes. That's what's going to be represented by pasture area. And then forested area, of course, is going to have trees, because that's really going to play a big part into evapotranspiration. And then also the different trees and the lots of greenery is going to soak up a lot of that water during the rainfall. So that's heavily going to impact our results, because some of that water is going to leave the system and end up in the trees before it even reaches the ground. So it's important we model forested area different from pasture and lawn area, because in the real world, it's going to yield very different results. Now, how do we represent land use area in WWHM 2012? We use the land use basin element. You can see here, you left click and you can drag the element into the modeling space. And that's where you can input your land use area. You can have as many basins as you want in your project. When you open up the form, this is what it looks like. The one on the left is the default. And then if you scroll down here with the scroll bar, you'll be able to see what the other options are. So you can see here we have all our AB forest area, C forested with different slopes, which I'll get to in a second, the saturated area, and then all the various impervious areas. Now, I must note that all the impervious areas act the same as long as the slope is the same. So roads flat is the same as rooftops flat. It's the same as sidewalks flat. They all act the same. But for accounting purposes, so it makes it easy for people's projects and keeping track of what kind of area they're using, we have these different categories here just so it makes the whole modeling process a bit easier. And then we have the lateral basin element, which acts different from the standard land use element. This allows us to model the runoff more directly and model dispersion in different ways. So you can model, for example, something like a pavement moving onto a dispersion area. You're able to model that movement, and you're not able to do that in the regular land use basin element. However, with lateral basin elements, you can only model one soil type at a time, as opposed to the standard land use basin where you can model multiple different land use types. So those are the examples of those forms. What are the slope categories in wwhm 2012? The degree of slope will modify runoff characteristics in the software. This will affect facility size and flow duration results. So flat is 0 to 5% for the area, moderate is 5 to 15% slope, and steep would be anything greater than 15% slope for any land use area that you're entering into wwhm 2012. So here's some examples. We had a 5-acre post-developed project. You can see that it's slightly changed the area and the acreage of the detention facility, but it will also modify flow duration results since more of that runoff will be running off of a moderate or steep sloped area. Continuous simulation is what allows us to properly calculate the entire hydrologic cycle over 15-minute time steps using historical rainfall data. If you're interested in this method of hydrology, you can learn about this method on the Clear Creek Solutions YouTube channel. We have tons of videos on what continuous simulation is and how it's different from single event methods like the rational method, like the SCS curve number method. So thank you for watching. You can check out more information on this in the wwhm 2012 software help file. We also have a bunch more videos on continuous simulation, single event, EPA swim, and wwhm 2012 on our channel. You can check those links in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a question, please leave a comment. And anyways, we will see you guys next time.